We're here in Arusha, Tanzania for Future Fortified, a 3-day global summit aimed at boosting interest, awareness and investment in food fortification. With more than 2 billion people affected by hidden hunger, we've learned that the fortification of staple foods with vitamins and minerals can be an effective and inexpensive way to tackle the problem at scale. Devex has met with a wide range of experts from governments, academia, civil society and the private sector, including GAIN, the Gates Foundation, the WHO and UNICEF. GAIN Executive Director Mark van Ameringen gave us his take on why this summit is so timely.
This meeting is really a key milestone for us, GAIN, because we're starting to see the scale. But I think now we're realizing, as we saw a bit with salt iodization, which was really the first big fortification program, is that the quality of the coverage is very uneven. And I think one of the big focuses of this meeting is to really take stock of the latest data. What does it tell us about fortification? When is it best used? What is the kind of impact we can expect?
There's been lots of good news on show here in Arusha. Progress has accelerated in the past decade on salt iodization, as well as the fortification of cereal grains, cooking oil, rice, milk and other staples. But there was a warning too. Unless actors can rapidly scale up the availability of fortified foods, achieving some of the SDGs will be impossible. We heard more on this point from Chris Elias, President of the Global Development Program at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
If we're going to meet the ambitious goals of the Sustainable Development Goal Framework, including ending preventable maternal and child mortality, we won't do that if we don't solve the problem of micronutrient malnutrition, because it's such an important cofactor in child morbidity and mortality. We attribute those deaths to measles, to pneumonia, to other things. But in reality, 45% of those deaths have some nutritional component.
So what are the next steps in making this happen? And what's the call to action? The Arusha statement on food fortification calls for new government investment in technical support, improved oversight and enforcement of standards and regulations, and more transparent accountability. Delegates leave Arusha determined to scale up the Future Fortified movement. But is there a way to rethink the way that this global health intervention is communicated to gain support, buy-in and funding? Bjorn Lomberg from the Copenhagen Consensus Center certainly thinks so.
My concern is very often that we end up spending most of our money on the crying babies and the cute puppies and the groups with great PR. And that's sometimes the best way to spend money, but clearly a lot of areas don't have these cute puppies. In some way, nutrition has that exact problem. It's not an obvious intervention. It's a silent killer. You give a child better iodized salt, and you don't see a complication 20 years down the line. That's not going to sell any newspapers. It just happens to be incredibly, incredibly important.
All eyes are now on how this conversation will evolve, particularly given the impact of climate change and migration from rural to urban settings. Check out the Future Fortified campaign at futurefortified.devex.com and follow the conversation online using the hashtag FutureFortified.